It's v.h.s.x. What do you mean?
Alright everybody, welcome back to a brand new video. Today we're reacting and having a discussion about a video from Scott Junn titled The Sad Truth About Valid DBD Criticisms. And if you want to watch the original video, it'll be linked in the description. But I wanted to quickly touch on a couple of parts and the topics within the video and give my own thoughts on it. And it turns out, as you can see here, there's been many people talking about how bad the changes are in the PTB. And believe it or not, there are people that actually do like these changes, which I've actually covered a video about that. There is a quote-unquote killer main that really does love these changes with all their heart. And I went ahead and I'm going to link that at the end of the video for you guys to watch that. And it's a two-parter, because they also claim that tunneling was an exploit. So hopefully you guys will enjoy that as well. But let's go ahead and continue.
The game, they are very upset with the PTB. One of the main things that I wanted to talk about at the start here was the whole concept of doing the Operation Health. Now, back like a year ago, I actually made a video where I said that's likely not going to work, because I don't know what has made people crazy enough to think that even if they were given several extra months that they would suddenly possess the skill to fix these things. Another reason it might not work is that let's assume we give them 3 months to finally fix a lot of these main issues. That just assumes that behavior suddenly just figures out how to fix these issues. It doesn't mean if you give them a period of time to actually fix this stuff, it doesn't just suddenly mean that they know how to fix this stuff now. Like, they do not exactly have a great history of fixing bugs and fixing hugely problematic things in the game. So I'm not sure why people think suddenly if we gave them 3 months to do that, they would just suddenly be better at it. Like, just because they have...
I gotta agree with Scott from the past here, because that is actually a good point. Like, they have been extremely incompetent for many years. We've seen this time and time again and even recently it's been really going full mask off with how much they've been over buffing Survivor. We've already seen that time and time again. I've already covered that. I've even predicted this a couple months ago. I was like, we need to make this game lean more heavily to the other end, considering that we are playing the side with superpowers. You would think that we would feel powerful because we have powers, but no, we don't feel powerful at all. We have people running around with lunchboxes having way more power than ever before, which makes no sense. Like, but apparently that's what they want their game to do. And I've even made the comparison to games like Friday the 13th, where I thought, why not lean into that and make the killer actually a threat so that it's actually more fun overall, and you actually have to work together with your team, just like how it was in Friday the 13th, which everybody, a lot of people enjoyed. Like, a lot of people loved playing that game. Why are we not going into that direction with the game has always been lost on me. I never understood why they never did that. And a lot of people were coping in the comment section of that video, saying that, oh, you just want easy wins. And it's like, what does that have to do with the actual topic at hand here? Like, what does that have to do, you know, with the game, the state of the game? And it's really ironic to me, like, it's really hilarious as well, that as I predicted months ago, look at where we're at now. Like, I already knew this was happening. I knew this was coming. And I tried to tell people, I tried to warn people, like, yo, this is going to happen. Like, the game is heading in a direction where they're going to favor Survivor even further. And all I was met with was, oh, you're just crying, you're just coping. And then here we are. Like, here we are.
Have more time doesn't mean they just suddenly know how to fix everything. And that really kind of seems to be what's happening here. This is like, you know, the delay. We are not getting new content until later. And this was supposed to be like, you know, the big bug fix and making everything a lot better. But everything is pretty much the exact same. They dedicated this extra time to essentially not doing much of anything. And that is one of the most insulting parts about it. We gave them the extra time, but kind of like I said earlier, it doesn't just magically mean they're just suddenly better at making games. Like, they're just still going to have the same exact issues as before. So that is one of the main things that is disappointing people. We were kind of promised some quality of life, which I guess survivors were getting. Quality of life when it's like 17 more pallets. It's just quality of life. And
yeah, I've also spoken about that as well. Like I said, it's kind of ridiculous that they can label it as a quality of life change. But the only quality of life that was improved was the survivors, and then they still bitch and complain. So I really don't understand like what they're trying to do here. Their vision just seems very lost. honestly. Like, I really don't understand like what they think they're doing, because like, as I've even stated before, the survivors are still complaining and disconnecting and raging, and it's like, but you already have all the changes you ever wanted. Like, you literally can't die. Like, you literally have everything you want. You have 1,000 pallets, you'll never go down. You have 1,000 pallets, you're never gonna get hit. You have free exhaustion recharge off of everything, so you can use spam sprint burst all day long as much as you want. And even the PTB is offering you even more options to just do that again, even more so than before. You already have 4-second heals. You already have is like 35-second gens. Like, how much more do you want? Like, that's the part that really blows my mind. Like, there's builds out here that give you 35-second generators, and there's builds out here that give you 4-second heals. So what's the problem now? Like, people don't even have to run windows of opportunity anymore, because there's a new pallet everywhere they go. There's 2 steps and a brand new pallet, so you're not even gonna die even as anymore, basically, because there's no dead zones. So like, I really have to ask, what's the problem? Like, you already got everything you would have wanted. And that I find really ironic, because I've even seen people say that it's gotten way too easy on Survivor and way too hard on Killer. And that I also think is kind of interesting, because like, as much as I could probably understand that perspective, on the other hand, it still boils down to then why, like, what is the problem, right? Because clearly it seemed as if survivors wanted it to be easier, right? So that's not really to get at those people that even say that it's too easy on Survivor, but it's more so for the people that were complaining about Survivor in general and trying to say that solo queue is the hardest thing to play. And it's like, it really never boils down to the Killer as much as they claim that it does. And I've tried to state that so many times, because it's not the Killer's fault that your teammates are bad. Like, if your teammates are going to be the reasons like that you die a lot of the time in solo queue more often than the Killer, because if they're not doing the objective, or they're wasting your resources, or they're going to get in the Killer's face for a blind and fail it or something like that, they're only just making it easier for the Killer in the long run. Like, that's their decision that they decided to make that allowed you to die. So that doesn't mean that, oh, the side is hard. It means you have bad teammates. That's every multiplayer game in existence. That's just how it goes. So you're going to have bad teammates. You can't control that. Now, regardless of how many buffs you give that damn side, if they don't know what the hell they're doing, it's only gonna buff the people that are experienced. So that's why these changes are so terrible.
And we were promised a lot of bug fixes, and I'm sure you've seen from like every main posting 7,000 bugs with their current Killer. It's just nothing really has gotten better, and we're getting no new content. This is the exact situation that I was kind of worried about. Now, every one of these content creators has made videos, and I've watched all of them, and all of them, for the most part, are something I would just completely agree with. And the part I wanted to go over here in this actual video is how disconnected that is from the actual reality of the game. I saw like a post on Reddit saying like, Otz is upset, is this mark the end? This is like the mark the end for the 17th time when a content creator is upset with the game, by the way. But a lot of people think that when lots of content creators and avid players are upset, that this is where the game is starting to die. This is the beginning of the end. And the sobering part about this video that I'm hoping to show you and express how futile a lot of this stuff is, that's just simply not the case. If we draw a line from the game's launch to right now, that line is going nowhere but up. There's been a couple of bips and dumps, fuck it, up and down, and that doesn't matter, because if you're looking at the stock market, looking at your retirement plan, you're looking at the long-term trajectory, and no matter what, this game is just gaining and gaining players overall. This game is consistently in the top 10, top 15, top 20 on Steam, like for almost a decade now. That is an incredibly impressive run for a game that is as shoddy and jank as Dead by Daylight. That is an extremely popular game.
And that is something that I hear a lot of people say about this game. Like, oh, what do you, like, you're just complaining for no reason. The player base it hasn't changed at all. It's not even dying at all. And it's like, okay, that doesn't mean anything. Like, that still doesn't like discount or disprove any of the statements being stated in the game. like in the video, I should say, about the game. It doesn't. Just because people are playing the game does not mean the game isn't bad. Like, you can still point out every single thing as what's wrong with the game. Doesn't make it any less true. Just because people are playing it. So that already is one of the big problems. Now, the other part of it that I think I might want to try to give an explanation as to maybe why they're still maintaining players. And I think it's because a good majority of people just don't read patch notes. And if we're fully aware that a lot of people play DBD casually and then they falsely claim that it's a party game when it really isn't. And it's already been proven in a previous video, like I've stated, as to why it's not a party game. Like, regardless of what people like to imagine that it is, or regardless of what people try to claim that it is, at the end of the day, it was never marketed as a party game. It was never stated to be a party game. It has never been a party game, regardless of how people decide to approach it. Okay? Now, you could make comparisons to other party games and things like that, but that's for a different video entirely that I already have on the channel. But specifically talking about this game, the vast majority of players are casuals on Survivor. Now, the reason is that I'm also thinking that the players aren't really being adjusted that much is because it is the vast majority of survivors, right? And if the vast majority are survivors, that means that the player base probably won't shift that much because all the changes are leaning towards survivor favored changes. So therefore, of course, they don't really have any reason to not keep playing. Because it's only benefiting them. So of course they're going to do that. The second aspect of that is because they don't read the goddamn patch notes. So they don't even understand how bad the game is until like who knows when, because they're just hopping in, playing a match and not even understanding why things happen or why things do X, Y, and Z. They just don't know. They don't know. They just simply do not know. And I think that is why it's very hard to try to shake people awake, because I even remember back when I played For Honor, and I remember I went against this opponent that was I believe was like trying to utilize some kind of combo that I just kept countering, and then they sent a message and they said like how do you do that, or like how did you do that, or like how do you know like what I'm gonna do or something. And I basically said something to the effect of like, you know, I watched YouTube videos about it or something like that. And then they said, like, that they don't watch YouTube or something. Like, they just basically said, like, I don't watch any videos or about the game or whatever have you. And it really was an interesting moment for me, because as somebody who does research and always is trying to improve at, like, the game I'm playing, especially, like, For Honor at the time, and even now with DBD or even other things like that, fighting games, whatever it may be, I'm always thinking about, how can I get better at this game? How can I improve? And I'm always going to be doing the research for it. But there are people that are just that don't even try to look up any information about the game they're playing at all. Like, they don't look up anything. And it was kind of crazy to really like sort of find that out at the time that I did play the game, which was like many years ago. And it was interesting, to say the least. It really was. And I think maybe that's like what the majority of the people are doing as well, is just the mere fact that like they just aren't reading what's going on and don't really understand that. And maybe that's why they just are continuing to play it as if nothing's happening. And it's also possible, another aspect to it could possibly be the fact that a good majority are just addicted to the game. And I can say that I have experienced it at one point, only around like 2v8, I would say, is when it's ever happened to me personally. So I understand the idea of like that itch that you just want to get back on the game. And I think that's probably like, which I can't really understand why they enjoy the 1v4. I find it quite stale and boring, even since I started. But regardless, they are for some reason addicted to it, and they are queuing regardless if they're raging, regardless if they're not having a good time. I just think they're like the sunk cost fallacy aspects, or even addicts of the game, are just loading up the game, which then shows Steam that they keep logging in, right? So then it keeps the numbers up. But if people aren't logging in, it probably will then show that there's a decline, or maybe like uninstalls might be showing a decline, and things like that for their data collection.
Now, you would think, because all of these content creators and people that are avidly, upset about the game and talking and joining discussions and community discussions about all this stuff, you would think because all these people are upset that there would be an impact on the actual player count. Not really, though, because A, a lot of these people actually don't end up quitting, even if they say that they will. B, these people are the minority of the player base. Like, for example, a potentially sobering fact again, Otstarva is probably the biggest DBD content creator that we actually have in the game, and the vast majority of DBD players do not watch him. I think people kind of underestimate just how many people play DBD a day and how many people watch content creators a day. Like, even
that is something that I was talking about, and something that I agree with. Is that something that, like, as somebody like myself who is creating these videos talking about this stuff, and even more so as a player, and even more so as somebody who has engaged with this kind of content before, it was almost a foreign concept to me that, like, wow, there's a good majority that just don't care for the content, don't watch the content, don't even watch the biggest creator talking about this topics, which is really interesting to me. And I guess that just comes with the territory if you are more serious about the game, is despite the vast majority, like I've said, it's despite like how casual people may play the game, it does not mean the game is casual. And that is certainly something. And it's really funny having that discussion, because like there's so much to prove that it isn't a casual game, because it's just way too much depth to the game for it to be casual, like, you know. And I just think it's just, you can't really it's like calling a Street Fighter a casual game. Like, it's just really not. Like, the amount of information that you can learn, the amount of like stuff you can learn is not making it a casual game. You could approach it casually, I would say, if you're a casual player, but I wouldn't say the game is casual unless you're talking about Jack in the Box or whatever it's called. That to me is casual. Like, you load it up with friends and on a random Friday night. Like, that makes sense. But like Street Fighter is like a pretty diehard game, like you play or whatever have you, but it can be played casually. But either way, I just think that might be tying into like why people don't really either engage with the content or just see the game as strictly just, I play this a match or two and then I'm done with the day, and then they move on.
If Ots has, you know, hundreds of thousands of videos on his video, there are still millions of players a day. That's assuming every single person that watches his videos is an avid player. A lot of the time it's not. It's people that have quit and they're just keeping up with it. So the truth is, the vast majority of people don't even watch the most popular content creator on the entire games community. And that is why I think so much of this is so frustrating. Ots made a great, 50-minute video going over all the issues with all this stuff. And the people that need to hear these things, the developers are one of them, but the casual players that need to hear this too are not listening, and they don't give a shit.
That is something I 100% agree with Scott here. I 100% agree with that. I 100% agree with that. That is unfortunately the state of the game. That's unfortunately just like ignorance of casual players and the community as a whole. They just don't want to listen. They plug their ears and they claim that, oh, it's just a skill issue. Like, they love to say that you're crying. Here's the examples you're gonna see. Oh, you're crying, that's one. Another one is, oh, you're just complaining. Why are you complaining? The third one they're gonna say is, oh, when I play, I don't have any problems. I get 4Ks all the time. And then the fourth one you're gonna hear is you're coping. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you're just gonna get all of those non-responses, non-answers that are either not engaging with your point, or they're just trying to claim that their own anecdotal experience is somehow consistent with everyone else, like, which is not true. And thirdly, it can be disproven with facts depending on the point that they make. So that's usually what you end up seeing, and I think that's because they are hyper casual that play at low MMRs and things like that, where you can literally run any build under the sun and still be able to do well, because of the fact that the players you're up against are just simply not experienced. They are also hyper casual as well and have no idea how to play their game, which is fine, right? Like, you can still play any video game casually. Like, you can do that. You don't have to be a pro at every single video game ever. You can be if you want to be, but you don't have to be, because video games should be fun. But because of that, and because of it's an online game, online multiplayer game that keeps changing constantly, like, we need to be able to try to steer the ship in the right direction, and they keep on trying to push it toward the iceberg. And because the majority of the passengers have no goddamn idea what's going on in the freaking I forgot the freaking room that they, not the cockpit, but you know what I'm talking about. They got the with the steering thing. We were trying to get the captain to like, no, turn around. Like the iceberg is there. And you're like, no, we're not. We're going to go in there. And it's like, why? Like we're telling you why you shouldn't go into that direction. Like there's an iceberg up ahead, but they just want to crash into it for some reason. And the rest of them are just like, you know, la-di-da, looking at the sky and eating lollipops and shit. Like they don't know what's going on. So it's like, we're doing the best we can, I think, you know, when trying to spread awareness, but it's like there's only so much you could do, I think, you know. But with that being said, let me know what you guys think in the comment section. While you're down there, consider checking out the original video, of course, also becoming a member on Patreon or a YouTube member for exclusive content that you're not going to get anywhere else. And also you get your name right off at the end of every video. With that being said, see you guys in the next one. Let me know your guys' thoughts. Well, I wanted to go ahead and take some time out to thank all my members from Patreon with Crow King 101, my YouTube members, Majora Jeff, Endire, Evil Peachy YT, Zero Mocker, Christian, Hex Dev, and Crow Vader, and for my Twitch subscribers, Cake is the Road, Danica 2002, Final Girl _ Bunny, Acklefin, Chili Cinderace, Zero Mocker, Ginsburg, Johns 117 _ Lovely Ghost TTV, Jar TTV, Zazaboo, and Crow Vader. Just wanted to thank you guys. And if you also want to have your name read off at the end of every video, make sure you join on one of these platforms to get one of those perks as well as the other perks you get. So appreciate you guys. Thank you guys so much.